Let's start from the beginning. Marvel Comics was founded in 1939 by a magazine publisher named Martin Goodman. By that time, comics were branded with the name Timely Comics. Company's first comic was published in October in the year 1939, the same year when Stan Lee joined the company. A teenager Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby went on to create some of the most iconic characters of all time, including the Hulk, Thor, Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and many others. In 1960, Goodman's company officially rebranded to Marvel Comics, and the first comics under the Marvel brand name were published. In less than 5 years, they were selling 50 million comic books per year. Fast forward to 1970. At that time, Martin Goodman was tired and decided to retire by leaving the company in the hands of Stan Lee. But Stan Lee didn't know that there are many obstacles that are yet to come in his way. Things wasn't going good with Marvel, and fast forward to 1989, Marvel Comics was sold to Ronald Perelman for $82.5 million. The billionaire businessman had a reputation of turning around dying brands for a profit. He immediately raised prices and pumped out more comics. Initially, fans were buying multiple copies of each new comic, thinking that they were worth millions in future, and because of that, the company was generating millions in revenue. And so people were buying 10 copies of a comic and then stocking 9 of them away in the hopes that they would be worth millions of dollars someday. And within just 2 years, profits increased 10x but what Marvel made in cash. The comics lost in quality. Comic sellers at all levels were printing what were called variants, and greediness of profits was decreasing the quality of the product, which was not flooded in the market. And it's a simple math. Everyone knows if the production is high but the demand is nothing, the price will definitely crash. But companies' top executives didn't see that, and was still producing tons of comics, but the industry was shrinking and Marvel was in trouble. The profits were completely disappeared. In fact, the company reported a loss of $48 million and a debt of $581 million. At this point, Perelman knew the future was in films and not in cards or comics. And in 1992, when 7 of company's most talented artists collectively quit because they also knew there was no future in comics. Marvel was going through a bad phase with no money in hands, and in December 1996, Marvel had no choice but to file for bankruptcy. Marvel was saved in 1997 when the toy company called Toy Biz bought them out and formed a new corporation called Marvel Enterprises. Fresh out of bankruptcy, Marvel needed quick cash, so they auctioned the cinematic rights of their characters to Hollywood. The only problem was Hollywood executives didn't see the value in those characters at that time, and Marvel was forced into unfavorable deals. Marvel movies of the late 90s and early 2000s were blockbuster hits. Like Blade made $70 million in the box office, but Marvel reportedly took in just $25,000. Spider-Man made $3 billion off the first 2 Spider-Man movies, but Marvel was only given $62 million total. Seeing this, Marvel finally decided they were ready to start self-financing. In 2005, they began buying back some of the film rights they had sold off, like regaining rights to Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, and Black Widow. These were important moves, but perhaps the greatest choice that Marvel executives made. And in March 2007, Kevin Feige, who became the president of production and the producer of all Marvel Studio films. When Kevin was made the head of Marvel Studios in 2007, he was only 33 years old, but he had creative ideas and a strong vision for building the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was also a huge fan of Marvel and had an impressive amount of knowledge about the characters and their storylines. Kevin assembled a small committee of executives and creative people with a strong background in Marvel Comics. His greatest vision was staying true to the comics and making films that even hardcore loyalists would approve of rather than trying to appeal to the masses. And in 2008, they took a risk and decided to go ahead and greenlight the first Iron Man film with a $140 million budget. And when that film brought in a total gross of $586.2 million on box office, it was such a massive success that in 2009, Disney bought Marvel for $4.3 billion. And the rest you already know. And the most surprising part is that since Iron Man, all Marvel movies together have grossed over $27.5 billion on box office. That's all from my side, guys. If you learned something valuable, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button.